Hey, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be looking at Battlefield 6 now that it's released. Now, this is not going to be a long video because I obviously covered this during the beta weekend. And obviously the gameplay itself has not changed that much. But, you know, I'll just go over some of the changes that have been implemented and some of the additional features that are now in the full game. Obviously the first difference between the beta and this is the single player campaign. Now, I'm not going to show any of the single player campaign. I don't want to kind of give anything away because it's not that long, maybe 5-6 hours at the most. And it kind of starts off pretty slow. You know, it's just your average kind of FPS campaign, I guess. Nothing special. But the later missions are a bit better, and the story kind of opens up a bit, and it's quite enjoyable, to tell you the truth. Well, for me anyway. And the length was just about right for me as well, I think. For the kind of campaign that it was. You know, it's not going to win any Oscars for a great story or anything like that. It's okay, it was interesting enough, and like I said, it got a bit better towards the end. Thinking about it, the last really good FPS campaign that I played was probably Half-Life 2. I don't think anything since then has been, like, amazing. At least in this, you know, the AI's kind of okay, it takes cover. It doesn't try and flank you or anything as good as that, like Half-Life 2. But it's passable, you know, worth playing. But, like I said, Battlefield has never been about the single-player campaign. I mean, maybe the original Bad Company, but that was console only, and I never really got into that. I mean, even Bad Company 2 wasn't that great of a campaign. I know people, like, hate me for saying that, but honestly, it wasn't. But it's worth playing through at least once for sure. It's not terrible, but it's just nothing amazing. There are unlocks and stuff like that you can get for playing a campaign on different difficulty modes and so on, but yeah, that's definitely not for me. Once is enough. But the main thing for me was that I actually got to parachute into Gibraltar. I used to work in Gibraltar for about 10 years, so it was nice to revisit the place, even though it was on fire. But no, it's really enjoyable, that. So I'll quickly go over some of the loadout stuff here. Now, the main kind of complaints at the moment about the game are the fact that there are females in the game. And you can unlock male characters and different female characters as well, but I think the main issue that people are having is that NATO support is all female. So you get no male kind of characters for the support class under NATO. Now packs do. That's, you know, packs have a male as well. In fact, other classes are kind of split. So it's just strange why they decided to have NATO support or female. And yeah, there's a lot of complaints about that. I mean, it's not the end of the world, really. If you want, you can turn voices off in the game so you don't hear them if that's a really big thing for you. But then the next thing, big difference between the beta is the amount of weapons that are available. And that's great. I do like to see a nice selection of weapons in my Battlefield games. And this one doesn't disappoint with the main weapons. I guess the only place it does kind of disappoint a bit is DMRs and sniper rifles. There's very few of them. And shotguns as well. There's only 3. Would like to see a few more, I think. Then there's pistols, which is kind of disappointing because there's only 4. I've always enjoyed playing pistol matches with Battlefield games, but with only 4 pistols, I just don't think that's going to be as much fun. Hopefully we might see more added later on as part of the seasons. I guess they're going to do a season pass, I would have thought. I don't know, though, actually. But yeah, I'm kind of disappointed about that. You then, of course, have your challenges. You've got daily, weekly challenges, which are a lot of fun to do if you're into that kind of thing. Of course, you don't have to follow them. But they're fun to give you a bit of an XP boost. You get assignments as well. You get kind of weapon assignments, class assignments as well. And then you get the campaign assignments if you want to do those. But like I said, I've done the campaign once, so I ain't going to do it again. But at least the progression system here gives you something to kind of aim towards if that's your if you like doing that. I do. It's nice to have something to do to jump into the game and kind of progress through it. And of course, you can set your profile to private if you want. And then we got our kind of game modes we can select. You've obviously got the campaign where you can select whatever mission you want to do. Then you get multiplayer where you get your default kind of multiplayer that you can select a search for. You choose what kind of battle mode you want to do, and then automatically find an official server for you to jump onto. But this now has a custom search or search experiences that allow you to set up a search for a specific thing, which is pretty nice. And then the main thing here is the server browser. Now these are what they call portal servers. People can set these up themselves. Now it's not hosted on their own hardware or anything like that. This is all hosted by DICE. But it's pretty cool because you can set up custom servers that are up all the time as long as someone's playing on them. And as you can see here, you know, someone's set up like peak 24/7 hardcore. But you also see the problem here as well. Now XP can be enabled on servers. And what people are doing is just filling them up with bots, boosting the XP, and people are just farming through all the unlocks. I mean, each to their own, I guess. You know, for me, I like to play the game and kind of, you know, feel like I've achieved something when I get unlocks and so on. But I guess some people just like to farm it all away in like an easy mode, so they don't have to worry about it. If this was my game, I think what I would probably do is disable kind of any XP gain if there's bots on the server. But still, it's really cool that we can set up servers like this. And I think this is where the main game is going to be for me going forward once all these bot XP farms have gone away. From a gameplay point of view, I think in the multiplayer anyway, the main changes to the character's speed and how you can slide around and stuff like that. In the beta, it was super fast. You could do massive slides. You know, it was proper crazy. But they've slowed that down a bit now, so it's you know, it's a bit more tactical. Yes, you can slide, but it's not, you know, you can't slide halfway across the map. Obviously, I'm exaggerating there, but you get what I mean. Server performance-wise has been pretty good. You get a server that lags out now and then, but it's nothing terrible. And you do get a bit of netcode issues now and then. You know, you'll run around a wall trying to escape from someone shooting at you, and you'll die when you're around the wall. But yeah, you also benefit from that now and then. And I guess it can't really be helped with these kind of games. But I think, you know, that was always been the case with Battlefield games. I don't think DICE have ever been able to get their netcode amazing, you know. It's always seemed to have had that kind of issue. Now, the gunplay in the game is a lot of fun. I am really enjoying it. It's not perfect, but, you know, it's all the guns feel a bit different. You know, there are some guns that are clearly better choices than others, which is a shame. Hopefully they'll get balanced out a bit. Or not nerfed. Maybe they'll bring the other guns up a bit. I don't know, you know. Either way, there's definitely balance that needs to be done. But again, that's been the same with all Battlefield games. Also, another like change from the beta compared to this now is the scope kind of glare that you used to see. In the beta, it was every scope had glare, and it would just be these big bright dots right across the map. So they've toned that right down now. You can still see it, but I think it's only on the kind of high-powered scopes, so not the smaller scopes. But it's definitely a lot better than it was in beta. The time to kill seems pretty good for me. Some people have complained about it, that it's a bit too easy. But I think that's mainly with the unbalanced weapons. Like I mentioned, a couple of the weapons are a bit too good. And hopefully they'll get balanced out a bit. But for me, I think the time to kill is just about right. Graphics-wise, of course, the game looks really good. The environments are really nice. And yeah, I got no complaints about it. The performance is a hell of a lot better than it was in the beta. I think in the beta, I had to have DLSS on and frame gen, I think, to get a decent FPS at 4K. But I've got all that turned off now, and I'm always over 100 FPS. And it's really smooth. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. But I have seen a few people mention in forums that they've had really bad performance since release. So I guess it's hit and miss for people. Now, day one, there was a bit of a queue. I mean, the moment the game launched, I jumped in. I think I had to wait about 10 minutes, and that was it. So it's not been too bad. And, you know, the first day, it was hitting over 700,000 people. And that was just on Steam. So not too bad at all. Now, there has been a few bugs. I think with Steam, there was a bug where it kept trying to kind of unlock the game for people and wouldn't work. So a lot of people were not able to launch it. And then there's been a few bugs where people haven't been able to join servers and so on. Just your standard stuff for kind of a game launch. Then you get the people moaning about secure boot as well, about the anti-cheat. But, you know, I don't know what to say about that one. You know, I can understand why people find it hard to go into their BIOS and enable secure boot. But honestly, for me, I've been a PC gamer since, you know, since the mid-90s. And I've always messed around with computers. So going into the BIOS has never been a problem. And any kind of modern computer is going to have secure boot enabled anyway. But still, I can see why some people were worried about it. But I do think more and more multiplayer FPS games are going to start requiring it going forward. So yeah, I think people are going to have to get used to it or miss out on some of these games. And obviously, going on that kind of point, Secure Boot was there for their anti-cheat system. Now, I've been playing since release. And I must admit, I don't think I've seen any outright cheaters. I mean, you always used to be able to see them. They would have massive kills, no deaths. And it was pretty damn obvious. So either they're doing a great job of trying to hide that and just dying a lot just to make up for it. I don't know. But I can't say that I've come across anyone that's clearly cheating. Like, I think, oh, that guy's killed me every time he shoots me in the head. You know, I've just not seen it yet. I'm sure it'll come. I'm sure there's people out there with cheats already. But I have a feeling it's probably the people who are going to cheat no matter what. You know, the ones that are willing to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on cheats. But I think what this will do will help cut down on the casual cheaters. And that's a good thing. And it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's not perfect. It's not a silver bullet. You know, I don't think you're ever going to be able to stop cheating altogether. Mainly because there's just too much money in it for the cheat developers. You know, it's got to be a $1 million industry at least, just developing cheats. The last thing I want to mention is the maps. There's obviously a bigger selection than there was in beta. Some of the maps are okay, but some just don't fit certain game modes. There's a good couple that are really large, and with the big game modes, it's a lot of fun and does remind you of the old Battlefield games. They're not quite as big. Well, not quite, I say they're nowhere near as big. But they're still a lot of fun. But then there's some maps that just don't suit certain game modes. At least for me anyway. And that's kind of a shame. I kind of wish they tried to make them all work in all game modes, if you know what I mean. But yeah, you know, that's a quick look at Battlefield 6 release. It's a good game. It's not perfect. I think they could have done a lot more with the maps. Maybe we will get some better ones, you know, down the road a bit. They'll release some new ones for us to play on. We'll just have to wait and see on that. And hopefully release some more pistols as well, because, yeah, they're definitely lacking pistol-wise. Game-wise, it's enjoyable. I'm having fun. It's not old-school Battlefield, so if you're looking for that, it's definitely not that. It's definitely a lot faster paced. You know, people don't work together as much as the older games. They just run and gun. But again, I think it's been like that with Battlefield for a long time now. Yeah, I think it's probably Battlefield 4 was the last game that really encouraged people to work together. Because after that, they removed the commander mode and it was never the same after that. It'd be really cool if they did bring commander mode back in on the big maps. I think it would just add something back to it, you know? And hopefully encourage people to work together. As I mentioned in the beta, it's just not really geared to that. You can just have like a squad of 4, and it's kind of hard work to get to play together if you've got more than 4 people. You kind of gotta jump in as one squad and then get another squad to join you when you're loaded into the map. And it's the only way to successfully get on a server together. And then after the map ends, or the match ends, you have to quit out and do that again, because you'll just get put onto different servers otherwise. Obviously, the portal mode is a good way to kind of negate that. You can all jump on the same server together. But it's just getting people onto your server is the hard part. Because there's so many there at the moment. Just getting people to notice your server and to fill it up is hard. Hopefully that'll come with time. People will learn how to advertise their servers a bit better. Get people on them, get it populated. Once people are kind of used to it, they'll stick to servers they like, you know. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching again. If you do like what you've seen, please like and subscribe. It all helps with the crazy YouTube stuff. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot.